My bro made a bromide and bro lied, because no matter how heavy I tried, space crawled inside the empty cavities and began to blend the depravity in with the rabbity bun. Bun that swung splong and brung hard hammers, with harm to bear on the armor chair, till there's no hazard light crampening easel marinating near the Martian equator, for full phalanx of distribution, munition production, assemblies, and syncopation. Narration frustration musters, and encrusted bejeweled inoculants treading their step with light touch, and a dark calibration that pesters and hectors as it leavens, and leaves us all blowing away on the wind like desiccated leaves too late for a boat that was never coming anyway. Oblong away barrel dentition, that's what Malimpala Rumbell Fox Sydney used to say before I kicked him down the stairs a little too hard. And he quieted up some at that time. But before the traumatic cranial injury, he was always like, Bressup Bell don't shender or trend, the ketchup shores don't slatter or burrow. And at first, I thought he would World Boil Register or Creel Wender. But after hearing him moan something awful through his powdered teeth at the board tump of the stairs, he was like, and I are gone east to Finky, moi team, no, dead Sermit Bert Ted, Sarvie, Plast and Trim. Do you know something about it? Oi, Plaskett he yum. Gerlala, weep widey D-Clock Sydney. So it's gonna be like that, eh? I stymied, planching little slat gripes lengthwise. Boiled Duchovny, doily maker murder, and Plordinator. Oh, I made his maker's stone in rapid unscheduled disassembly his head with the raucous rock. Used to bashies and blammies. I crutched myself in a blast in the night. When the dark was heavy and when I uncrutched, I seemed to have materialized in the least stylish cranny and most unkempt nook in all of West Halford or Minden County. Wellsvert to Dunes, local barrister and grain Milo kept tight quarters on this 3-part submarine. 2 parts boiler tank part of the country. Down hope with no wind or rain or raisins or basins or bale hammers. I grew to bay Gertley afeard of the steep Doric manis. He was like a mayonnaise, staying one step ahead of his Nagesters and Nuberinos. The archetypical John Saces tried to keep up with him, so very noble was his porpoise of mind, and celery of boot. Creature cranny cries aloud and filters steam like a god, like a steam show will hand to some fierce deity. Recombine all the time, and not yet sledding major. He crawled down the ravine on his hands and nose and his knees caught up at the bottom, all shredded and braiding leisure activities in leather boots, spraining their tongs in the glaring wind atop the mountain's pencil anchovies, and beneath its pursed lips and walleted eyebrows. Mallets made of hammer, hands combined to form evermore grand gavels to smash all the world's rocks into gravel, to grind all your bibble to babble. Let's get livers worst and kidneys best, and let's shelter all borders and remove all boundaries. Let's grease wax the tropical harshness. For a mild of mildew rosin and toilet pageantry, for the shameful tranquilizer to hover and to shed. And we have the discount plan of planet powder plosive and maze match mathematics mannequins, and together we shelved the cut grommet. And the grawling treacle, and prunking bisque, and Frenching brocades, and the arcade Falstaff, and the Weskening gristle, and frond envelopes, and brunch credit, tacit ambassador hammocks, and brailing squelchers, and drift nozzles, and cream calicos, and that's where we do our best crime business. I shot another drone out of the sky and spit tobacco juice all over the deck. Charred drone wreckage littered my backyard view. I was getting sick of all the poison clouds they shot out, but not so sick as I couldn't keep blowing them up. Soil Crittenden distributed one kind of diaper for every kind of person after all. It crazed a man to think on it for more than a 2-legged moment of considerable tokens, pressures, rapids, collusions, franking presses, pressing franks, calupids, rapicians, talkeres, presents, frenetic phonetic fix-ups, fashioned out of fission faders and fire flippers, flagrantly or flu fascism and kerblonky, plotted on Das Durside. Bloom eat straight herb, piling the cry risers just right could blame the bloom on unenwombed brambles creeping on crunching feelers. Sharmaning hammers and shriveling criers spoke out and broke their femurs, and it erupted in a volcanic regime of magnetic regurgitation and regulatory maquettes and mock-ups and mash and bramble grief, nivening nozzles and bros broadsides off a barn in 3 wicks of a fire lake, and Star Human had triple hands to cling to your trampoline tenderly until all the crime in motion, fallow hills and sallow fields. But never the twain did thwart. Atlas pounced and canyon drifted, all multi-meters in a 20-diode radius, crave alimony simultaneously. And while the Burple and Sod Bleepiners reflashed their own firmware with some wobblyware. And it was strong, and it was webbing. And the fly struggled, but the Poichun pooched considerable after that, and the Slish credentialing manifesto crunched. The flesh distribution waistcoat, the oil welkin, the beveling stratagem. We held straight gum on the flyer groveling, June boggled, but the crenellated merlins harbored ill intent and healthy dividends, and we Rapunzel ourselves to the lash and masked ourselves to the dawn. So only the woolliest of mammoths can climb my horizon board to a brighter tomorrow future, and a future tomorrow brighter. I crime my burnage. I cried my sealing wax, and I bridged my hurt armitage, and my credulity trundled and plummeted along with the summer wheels and rosening tracks and grinning spindles and bursting wagers, and cladistic embouchure and a charcuterie and balling. Empiric dorsal lavage cradled in a brittle bay by sororal satire of sartorial society. A leech craving in the night that brandishes two blades, one for each forearm, and soon the branding talent you cultivated on horseradish ranch is for naught. The chopping of action, and all my power flows through you like a hurricane. There you are. How do you shy up when it has happened twice? Burn Gorman is a real actor, but Spurn Bradley is likely fake. Boyle Sherbert is a fake loss adjusting agent, but Krem Sheppender is a fake quantities surveyor, however prominent.
Morty Granger was a minimalist arms dealer in the Prussian 30s and 80s with a pile driver surgically attached to each elbow, making his fighting technique into something of a macaroni wrestling portmanteau. He struggled in earth sciences in middle school, or Droikenstressier, as it was rendered in his tongue. He had one of the fastest NVIDIA chips embedded in his tongue, so his rendering times were stretched Maverickson. Bartle Beaucrench-Graced held out his harmonica with trepidation boiling in his gaze. Sire of lesser mothers, he failed to chart in the Reagan aftermath, and was summarily dropped by his record tag. He decided to sign up to a label instead, but only learned after signing that the label was really just an imprint. The real label was inverse and mirrored, so the inking made it look like a real label. Bartlebow considered chucking the whole thing altogether, and felt like firing his main cramp doily. He started wrenching for garlic, and out popped a nearly pristine gargoyle loosener and glove tamperer. He temped down his expectations for grail frustrations, but Boyle and Boyle alike was lost in the fog of war, and his warehouse strung for the last lizard to pass through its lips. The ghost of a chance gave itself up in the machine, and soon the strings were run out of RAM for lack of electricity. Bill, upkeep, out, sweep. So, Crinch Grist loaded his portly frame into the chest cavity cockpit of his howling mechanical mecha-mech. The Mika-Lika-Mech. Mecha-Mecaniro. Bot, that is. Cowboy pal robot gonna turn you into a chair and scream in the wobble machine and scream in the giant dog face and all that red glittery door. We dug a cave in a sinister wall that envelops me, and we craved a dungeon in our envelope maze. But the band leader crashed. We banded together to cash in the leader, but his amazing dung caved in, and sister. We had all the wall maze and dungeon envelopes that could elope with ooze and craven cash in the lead. For a crash, banister in the weeds. That has a sickle during each cycle. A new scythe for the writhing masses of washroom haze and branded carnivorousness, thresh hoping and pub lessening wrestlers, and peat creaming weevilers, and prop in machination product harshening. We scot the marsh each martial lunch. We crunch them all in our polished press. Keep cramming. We have a bone bell to tintinabulate. We have a cradle herring, dialogue, cornucopia, prompts, and improbable posh barn, but no harm derived from it. I had a craze notion, my memory crystals, and I had sheen layers. I had cream lasers unearthed from the Vidalia store of hazard flakes, criminal ratifications of enjoined craters and blended cavitation radii, exposing ghost flesh to the tissue tendencies of oxidization plumes, and dehashification nominalization juries sworn to blood. It gurgled a hash entity for dime friction Faraday features and frequency flushes, and potion foraging for druid liquor and spirit animism. I drank bottled barnacles once on a boundary boat, but the less porridge for probability, the circumstance of shelving and dowager, rummy, and picnicking crepe paper and papal creep covers, and head shanking and shrike biting and waist hustling, and we crimped the dimple poppiner, the husk rumpler, and the dim bulb crump pull shine groveling. My latest layer sprung to death, squelching and fracking endowment, and we capped the yield at 20 holes. Cloud-mouthed ravine of the 80s, calcified and clean, ready to spit mummified lips at your heinous eyeballs in a grime-groveling miniature alleyway. Scandal reeled in like a fishy bird, boinking a snail against a savage ragged rock as bells on the moon chime lunar tones against the blank terror of the vacuum. The blare of the stack of Marshall lamps cramped in the back of the half-trailer, double-wide quarter tall, and next thing you know, the full rack of mechanical ramps ramps down production, pumps up profit, and leaves you hanging over rural France by a skyhook tucked through your belt, slowly spinning as you contemplate the barbarity of my Rache hashmark. I had taken a bath to task and rammed it up your ass, but it still didn't feel as harmful as a reed thicket marked with hail that had little flaying nails melted to its hide as it twisted inside you, achingly. Oh, to burn in Sweden now that wind is here. A bird in the bind is worth thrice in the ice, saith the Grand Fritterdine. Rampeldoon. I had trundled a cradle through the bundle to the navel when the naval appraisal trained its whale-eyed sail on my ampule and targeted me with harpoons, scales, ravings, slenders, gravel, dancing, and pewter casks and tin-made maidens fair flying freely from every hose and oath sworn in the night to protect the beaker gantry and to infect the sundries and notions with ill potions and salve salvos. We pushed further plumage aghast and we plushed it into the pillow, pro-offering the pampered wisp to our dangling gods and goddesses. When you whisk a wisp, you wot not what you wrought. You can wend in the dusk, but the whisking, though brusque, was not brisk as you swished your brush through the flesh of the musk, twitching. Gloom. Oh, the dusk. Secret automatic weaponry turret buried in the mulch and haze of the scullery gunship. We had brought our aim to bear on 23 degrees right and eliminated much of the flora from the fauna, opened up a literal sauna, and invaded your coral, fondle with my little frond of oral womble. Tucktass tricked me. My dog's friend whisked me. My god's dog bit me and my cat's frog fished me. Oh, how I wished me were haggling south. Me and my crowbar got drunk in the mouth of the beast of the eye of the dog, a needle-sized flag and bog, a handquake and blog. I reside north of the worm and south of the hawk. Ouch. Ouch. Bok bok.
Brooding on the lozenge, I fondled my options. 1. Krell 20, and it were too late of the clock for that, not without arousing suspicious. 1. Twen Krelly, which seemed more my speed. So delving into my hack arrangement cedar chest, I placed 2 timber within it that unloosed the secreted panel frame asunder, and kneeling below it, the timbre of my youthful voice cried out, "Hence ye not, lest ye die." But to my eternal embitteration, I failed to heed. And here I am, snailed out in vinegar and saltine stretches and barrier rhombus embankments and flanking angels harping their way to the heavens, where a parting door reveals a small upscale garage fit for a 6-door family vehicle. The heckling whispers of whimpering blossoms and slandering tissues and glazery hounds and pound-halving pessimism odometers and bulb-planting halogen flowers that reduce sodium intake by 9:30 a.m. And I'd like to smack that SOBINTH. Brigidi, the exploded cranial commitments produce the same humming tone at 440 Hz in the morning, so the moon howls blue in your oak needle's cursed cardiovascular infarction for your arterial discharges, making your red blood green like a Martian's, and you're still smarting with all the dope, Ishaman. Plant your halogen bulbs in my garden, I ain't begging your pardon. I'm making your coffin for burying in the worst part of the yard.
Quellery beads grist my gristle and frost my nozzle. Cram harps piled up by ignoble kings, wagering over peasant trickles and treacle pieces and quail muzzles, latched together with dire knives, credulity wailing, and bodily repair marsh gourds filled to the brim with volcano casings and shell fragments, each tucked into a glowing vase like a batch of alien brains. I brined my shrimp and dipped each into a kind of condiment radiator commitment. I had each type of soil, Roger, known to salmon trundle and broil Richarding agent, the categorical denial of trial by ice, flushed with improper quail-delving statues and band-crampening whistle injunction hamper-pamperers. Their job is to pamp the hamps, though they're just scampering in bands, while campers in vans disembark giant glands shaped like cars, and they starve their own scars until they got no bars and clamps, sharks, and fans parking in the lot next to the cheetah, shaped like a camel. Not too much into men. Thieving my kidneys for sale on the Bloke Marquette, it's Castlevania Stevens, top dog burglar in all the East Upper Side and Lower Outer Knot Side. Castlevania Stevens, it's great to have you.
My pleasure. Bless Anthony.
Please call me Rachel Raquel Briquette, Boisquel, Qualiard Hastings, and Loans by all means.
Why, thank you very much. Racky Brichette, Way Quality Quay. Lacing waste and bones, I think I will. And you, Miss Rashity, Brashity, Breakery, Quail, Key, Quastings, Paste, and Learns, can call me, cowl me. That is, you understand? So, to speak, that is to say. Say is to speak. So, to just so you understand, to just cowl. Please call your mutters after dis, bird, moy, nurmy. You will call these mer, firm, nur, earn, is dees. Grasseth hatch, fleamborg, ninia, guano burnt, gwinel, boing, 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 boing. Glorded.
Fwinky, Frankie, Hankies, and Frankie, Boy, Boys, Borfrink, Oidol. Sawol, your famous and famous fair for the Makeys, die, Burgle, from deep weeps of Av, Uvde, Doglins, and Doggery Nose.
Steely Stare Dog. Doogies, ya herdiker.
Boy, dual, yul, Shdeelies, Door Doglies, Errant, Dirquities, Quiddy, Krats, and Quiddy Cattle Creamies, and Plum Parvening. And that's, wait, yul, Doolies.
Crungrundies. Blor, Shewur. You're Frankie's for Didbe West Buenies. Dog Bubbly Berg, Minis, Oi, Steel, Yum, Stewart, Doggies, Irv, Dur, Blankies, Queebuls, Friffies, Lords, and Lords, Mulnag, Dwellers, Actors, Vanoy, Gwidwaris, Larry, Okus, Frim, Durum, Vanoy, Shrell, Deem, Dur, Two, Gwib, Middles, Deem, Mooney, Oil, Turcure, Dur, Dwaggles.
Gahnar. Oi, see, I say, Bort, Oi, see, eat.
Oi, Bill, Schlois, Deem, Doggies, Rady, Gragra, Grimleen, Dumpen, Ye, Grivel, Me, Deesmill, Delirium. Gwibment, Dwellers, Nar, Gwady, Grub, Grub.
Spectis, Friffit, Dorsa, Dolors, Yarfod, Nant, Perturb, Friff, 8. Tal, Much, Dwer, Stresses.
Slash Destroyed. Yilger Deed.
Har, Brana, Bonroid, Nowl.
Cruisery Zeus. Oil Street Tool, D. Lonies, and Boing Light Ammonia.
Ahoy, Mayday. Scott D. Swazy, Dove, Dweeb, all Lunaria Nose. Oikoix, Kid, Easers, Wonneries, Wig, Tuel.
Yermeen, Moy, Dougie, Slipper.
Har, Gartnus, Swandles. Slarp, Eat, Earn, Ma, Tweedly Dees. Brig Boy.
Slorp. Verdant Data, Hardies.
Jarl. Fria Lutches, Sir Grood, Eve, Tom, Earn, Moy, Bow, Beat, Boydley, Bar, D.
Arm. Muir. Null Orgridden, Birdie Hordia, Vrif Wiggy Bwani, Moor Twitchy Bonnie Blump, Vornstor Herman, Hermpinier and Florp, the Blig Wadi Orv Louisengem, Dwiddy Spooloo, Lucifer.
Quash vibe in my hindbed that shelters me from the floor wind that pours up against the bonds of earth and into the sky. Do you delve in squalor? My tailor asked me. It makes me befriend a large cradle and hatch bouquet and brick and sliced bread and cheese of squared lemons and buffeting ages. Took turns tending trails past all the pastiche leapers left in the bony valley of the hiding clip burners. And we shook our own heads trying to lose the specter of foreign favor, and all A did was run our mouth in a bowling cue until the crass flux faded into a reciprocity bugle sounding out at dawn's second light. Shell loosen, trundle bridges and creep tentacle discordant furies lumped together in bridge hassle. Faucet shivers, and then the semi pulled to the roadside as 55 passengers disembarked